Liam was 22 years old, fresh out of college, and completely broke. The glittering promises of gold mining documentaries on YouTube had fueled his dream of striking it rich. With little more than a beat-up truck, a rusty pan, and a backpack stuffed with canned beans and optimism. He drove deep into the wilderness of Alaska to start his adventure. The first few days were intoxicating. The mountains were breathtaking, the rivers sparkled in the sun, and Liam was convinced this was it, his chance to rewrite his story. He waded into a shallow river, swirling his pan in the icy water like the pros. But after hours of searching, the only glitter he found was mica, the fool's gold that mocked him with every swirl. "I just need to dig deeper," he told himself. The struggles begin. As the days turned into weeks, reality began to sink in. Gold mining wasn't just hard, it was brutal. The mornings were freezing, the afternoons blistering, and the mosquitoes treated him like an all-you-can-eat buffet. His hands blistered from hours of shoveling gravel, and his back ached from crouching over the river. Then came the setbacks. His water pump broke on day 8, leaving him to haul buckets of water by hand. His tent leaked during a rainstorm, soaking his sleeping bag and leaving him shivering through the night. Worst of all, his food supply dwindled faster than he'd planned. Beans and rice became his daily menu, and by the 3rd week, even that was starting to run out. But the most soul-crushing part? The gold was nowhere to be found. Liam spent hours digging trenches, sifting through gravel, and dreaming of that magical glint in his pan. Instead, he found bottle caps, rusted nails, and the occasional dead fish. Out of Crasso in one night, sitting by his makeshift fire with only a can of cold beans for company, Liam stared into the flames. Maybe I'm not cut out for this, he thought. He had seen videos of grizzled miners pulling out nuggets the size of grapes, their smiles brighter than the gold itself. Why wasn't it happening for him? The wilderness started to feel less like an adventure and more like a punishment. The endless silence, once peaceful, now felt oppressive. Every crunch of leaves made him glance over his shoulder, imagining bears or worse. He hadn't seen another human in weeks, and the isolation gnawed at him. The breakthrough. On his 34th day, just as Liam was ready to pack up and go home, something changed. He found a small pocket of black sand while panning near a new bend in the river. His heart raced. Black sand often meant gold. Carefully, he swirled the pan, and there it was. A tiny fleck of gold, no bigger than a grain of rice. It wasn't much, but it was real. Liam laughed out loud, tears streaming down his dirt-covered face. All the blisters, the sleepless nights, the hunger, it had all led to this. The little fleck wasn't worth much, maybe a few dollars at best, but it was proof that he could do this. A lesson, learned in the end. Liam didn't find the mother lode. He returned home after 2 months with a small vial of gold dust and a newfound respect for the wilderness. And himself. The riches he'd dreamed of hadn't come, but the experience had shaped him in ways he couldn't have imagined. He had learned resilience, patience, and the value of persistence. And maybe, just maybe, he'd be back next year, with better equipment and a bigger plan. Sometimes the real treasure isn't gold. It's the lessons you find along the way.